Hello, welcome to our Scrum chat room of Lunch and Learn. For us to have some conversation today as Scrum Masters, as Agile coaches, and this is going to be a conversational session, which means that let's have a chat, right? Let's have a conversation. Definitely will be very much interested to hear what is going on your side, most especially in terms of the Scrum Master market now, Agile coaches market now. What's your opinion? What are some of the challenges that we are facing in the field as Agile coaches and or as Scrum Masters? And how can we effectively bridge this gap? So those are some of the things we want to discuss in this session. So as you come in, let me know where you're watching in from. Drop your comments so that we can have an interactive session. It's going to be somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes, and I'm going to try as much as possible for us to have a back-to-back conversation. Hello, Marva Chat, I see you there. Hello, Dudu, I see you there. Sandy, I see you there. Hello, Josephine, I see you there. Boki, I see you there. Koso, I see you there. Super excited to be back again. Yes, please go ahead and start putting in your question. I'm going to address your question. Definitely, I'll try my best to address all the question, right? But I always say that I might only know one of the aspect of the question, or maybe how to deal with it in one direction. So I know other agile coaches and scrum master will be watching me as well. So feel free to always kind of put your comment and your own response when the question comes up as well. And for all the agile coaches that are watching me, and also those who are YouTubers, right? Those who do YouTube videos on Agile and Scrum. Also, feel free to drop your channel so that other people can connect, right? It's a community we're all learning together. So I see a lot of my people joining in. Hello, and super excited to have you here. So just give me a second, and I'm gonna be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry for that. I had to take a very quick important call. Okay, perfect. So let's get rolling back. And yeah, you can start putting in your questions. But before you put in your questions, let me give you a bit of briefing of what is happening right now. And for those who are still to get into the Scrum market, see, this is a perfect timing, right? Many companies are closing out project, and if they are getting late behind the project, they're looking forward to hire Scrum Master and Agile coaches in order to end the year strong, while many other companies as well are definitely preparing for next year. So it's a good time to get into the market. And for those who are completely new to Scrum it's an aspect of agile, and agile is a way of thinking in a way we build product with a customer centric and a more flexible way. So that's the best I can explain for now. For those who want to explore more deeper, we always have trainings that are coming up regularly, and you can definitely reach out by text or WhatsApp in any of the number the number that's scrolling on the screen. Send me an email. Check out our website. There's always so much to learn over there. Okay, let's get started and let's get rolling. I want to see the first question I have, please. What to expect on a second round interview? All right, so that's a very important question. What to expect on a second round interview? If you had your first round interview, congratulations, that is a great step. Now, what is your expectation or what you expect on the second round interview? Second round interview, they definitely want to go a bit more in depth with you, and more or less they want to understand your They want to understand your depth of knowledge about facilitating, most especially what happened when you are managing your Scrum board. They will ask the question around Jira, what happened if we roll story over, what happened if we introduce a new story in the middle of the spring, what are you going to do with that? What has been a situation where you find some of your team members not being responsive, and how do you deal with that? So the three things I always advise everyone: if you have a mastery of this, don't be afraid to go for any interview. Now, the first thing is you understanding Scrum, like all the ceremony. If I say, okay, can you list all the ceremonies in your orders, and can you list tell me your role on what is your role in sprint planning, daily stand-up, backlog refinement, review, retrospective? You should be able to tell me that without kind of blinking. Right, that's the first step. Now, the second step, which I advise everyone to know, how you can be able to launch a project on one of the project tool, either Jira, Rally, or Azure DevOps, how you can launch a project there, how you can create epics, how you can create stories, what happened if you close the story, how are your report generated, how do you use this report, and how do they help you? If you can understand that, master that, then the last thing you want to master is your case study and tell me about yourself, right? So if you can master that effectively, you are good to go. So those are the stuff I'm going to pay more attention to and ensure that you are mastering them. All right. So if you can do that, don't be afraid about crutching that interview, right? You can definitely do that. Um, I see a lot of people joining in. A lot of people from Dallas, Calgary. Welcome. What to expect in a second interview? Okay, we deal with that. Is this recorded and can watch? Yeah. You can watch later if you come back to LinkedIn or go to my YouTube page. Say Scrum Master Chat Room. We should be able to watch all of this later, so you can always come back and watch this. Okay, Belinda from Arizona. Question from Bernice. And what's the question from Bernice? How do you appreciate a task that was not completed by the end of the spring? All right, if your task is not completed by the end of the spring, if this is an interview question, right? What you do is that you're going to roll it over to the next spring, but then you want to be able to find out, why was this task not completed? Is it because we had so much load, or is it because we had some impediments that held the tax back? Now, or is it because your team overcommitted? So the reason why we estimate stories in Agile is because we're guessing. It's called guesstimating. So we are guessing. So when the goal is not for you to complete everything you have in your backlog, the goal is for you to learn and next time better plan based on the result. So you want to pay more attention on how you replay your report into the next sprint, rather than, oh, we're not able to complete all of the stories, right? So it's not a crime that if you don't complete all the story, it's only kind of get worse if you're not learning from the output of your sprint. So roll it over and reprioritize it, re-estimate it, and let it go. Now, the next question is from Alan. How do you present to introduce yourself to your team, manager, PO, on your first day at work? All right, Alan, the first thing I'm going to recommend, if you go to our website, reeducation.io, I did a video on question you should be asking your manager on your first day at work. I'm just going to go through it in a recap. The first thing you want to do when you meet your manager, you want to be able to understand what is the product roadmap of the product roadmap. Gives you an overview with milestones on where the project is and what we need to deliver within the subsequent time. You want to ask where if they have a release plan. A release plan is what help us to be able to plan out our iteration or our sprint, and that's what kind of help the PO to be able to prioritize the backlog based on what future is going out in the next month. So a release plan is where how we plan our releases. And when we talk about releases, remember, just let's say the goal of Agile or Scrum is to build incrementally, right? Which means that we are delivering in part. So if we're delivering in part, we need to have a release plan, right? We are releasing in part. So having a release plan help you to understand what are we expecting next month. So if the PO is not prioritizing based on the release plan, you should be able to have a conversation with the PO. I see the release plan is more focused on this feature, but why are we not prioritizing it? So that is how you add value. You should be able to do that. Now, when you meet with your PO, you want to understand what are some of the challenges the team are facing, what are some of the challenges, or how can you better support the PO. When you meet with your team, you want to understand the value of your team, understand specifically the different roles your team are playing in the team, your team are playing in the project, right? Are they a front end engineer, are they a back end engineer, are they a DevOps engineer, are they a QA, and how they interact with the project. That's going to be very, very important for you to effectively play your role as a Scrum Master. All right, so there is a long one here. We're gonna try to read that and see how we can answer that right. In my company, I am the only Scrum Master. So they recently hired a product owner who knows Scrum, right? But this new product owner want us to start doing Scrum Master um, guide. I mean, I like the fact that I would have the opportunity to learn, but he's not a Scrum Master. Okay, thank you. Now, the challenge for you buying in to your product owner so much, it's an indication that you don't understand what to do. All right. I'm going to be a bit careful why kind of kind of repeating that, right? Now, when you are the coach, you're supposed to be the coach. You partner with your PO in order to implement. So you don't report to the PO. So whatsoever your PO suggests is for you to be able to weigh in relation to your knowledge and in relation to the culture and the situation of the company and see that it's going to be much better. I've seen situations because we have a community of practice with more than 70 practicing Scrum Master, and we learn from there every time. I've seen situations where PO really, really want to be dominant. And most often now, when they become dominant and you, the Scrum Master, feel a bit more comfortable and not pushing towards your role, what happens is that you become kind of not really relevant in the company, right? So if they're thinking of kicking out someone, you're going to be the first on the list. So you always want to make sure. That's why I tell every Scrum Master, by the time you get into that position, you sign a contract to continuously learn and improve yourself. So very important for you to focus on that. So the question is, what can a new Scrum Master do to increase team velocity and also try to reduce spillover? I am aware that it depends on the team, but the general, how can someone, a new Scrum Master, make a difference to do that? Okay, very important. This is a very important question because when you get into your team, what happens is that management is going to try, oh, we want velocity to go up, we want to reduce P over. That is very important. But if you focus on that, you're going to fail. Now, what makes velocity better is not the fact that the team is pulling work to the backlog. The first thing that is going to help your team not to spill over, or the first thing that's going to help your team to be better, is that your team is performant. So for you to help your team improve in any of their results, you need to focus on the aspect that improve team performance. Now, if you look at the Tugman model, we talk about communication and collaboration is that bigger aspect. So if you focus on how team can effectively communicate and collaborate, you'll see that velocity will not be an issue. I'm going to give you an example. When I joined one of my team, what I did is that I noticed that there was their daily standard was taking really long. But why was it taking very long? Because all issue they had, they were trying to resolve it during the daily stand-up. So I met some of the developers, which are kind of during my one-on-one. This is the reason also why you do one-on-one. I figure out that at least they have some advanced knowledge, right? And I partner with them. I say, okay, why don't we start doing some brainstorming sessions? And someone can say, oh, I know how to do this. Can I help others? And that increased collaboration a lot. And then during the retrospective, what I try to do is that with action item, I try as much as possible not just to write it down. I always put it on my board and we talk about it all the time. Communication, collaboration, communication, collaboration. In less than no time, that team velocity skyrocket. They always kind of complete what they committed to and more, which is was more than their average velocity. So the way to help that is to make sure that look at how can you help this team be more collaborative? How can you help this team to communicate effectively? If they're open in communication, then you can help them during sprint planning commit to the right amount of work. But if they are not collaborating and everyone is saying, okay, I'm fine, good, I got no problem, it's going to be very difficult for you to help them because they say like that at the end of the sprint, they are still carrying over stories. So when they communicate, when they collaborate, we can easily then, we can easily take that velocity up. All right, very important question. Thank you. Um, how do you move up as a Scrum Master? Thank you. That's a very important question. Some of us, when we become Scrum Master, we don't think about moving up. Now, the most easiest way for you to move up is to join a community of practice. If you're certified as a Safe Scrum Master, um, the Scale Agile community has a very fantastic community. And a lot of people that are Safe certified, they don't even know that in the community that you can join the Scrum Master community. They're sharing knowledge, they're sharing what they're learning in there. Those are scenarios that build you up as a coach. Secondly, you can join a community of practice, right? If you want to join our community of practice, send me a text. I'm going to show, I'll give you details of what it takes to join. We meet every Friday. We have a learning portal. We have, let's say, we have about 20, 25 Scrum Master. They're sharing what is happening to their environment. Now, you are not learning just what is going on with your team. You are learning from a whole lot of people. So when you get into an interview within your next 6 months, you can pick up a role as an agile coach. Now, agile coaching is not on certification. The same Scrum Master is not on certification. It's in your ability to effectively facilitate event, coordinate people, and help them get results. So it's your ability to understand the business value and how you can use the skills of coaching, teaching, and facilitating to meet those business value. So when you lose out on this, you realize that you feel empty, right? You don't feel like you're really supporting your team. So if you feel like you're not supporting your team, what can help you make a difference is just plugging in into that community and looking at how you can learn more from others, just collaborating. What you can also do is that you can start helping other people. Now, if you put yourself in a place of giving back, what is happening? Let's say, for instance, someone asks a question here that I feel like, oh, I haven't come across this question. I'm going to be honest and say, oh, you know what? I've not come across this question. But what I'm going to do is that I will take that question and I go do more research, right? So put yourself in a position where you are continuously learning. Very important. So, interview question: what other skills do you have apart from being a Scrum Master? Very important. This is very, very important. I love this question, right? Because we are so much glue in the aspect that we can facilitate events, we can do this. Now, your first skills, which for you to get into any job, is your leadership ability. Your leadership capability is a skill that can help you to help any organization improve. Now, apart from being a scrum master, first, I'm a servant leader. Now, servant leadership is not about it's being a scrum master. Servant leadership is about having a critical ability to know that you're there to serve the company. So, apart from you serving the company, you understand business value and you can step in to contribute in any business value that the company may want you to. Let's say you're brought in as a scrum master. Then in attending, let's say in one of your, let's say you're working in a safe environment, in one of the system demo, you realize that, all right, the system team is kind of lacking behind because they need someone to fill in the role of maybe to fill in the role of really updating their dependency bot. Now that's something you can talk to your manager. And you know what? That's something that can help. Why are you helping? It's not because you're a release trained engineer. It's because you understand the value of business. So it's a tricky question, but what you want, the way you want to answer this question is that you, first of all, before becoming a scrum master, you're a servant leader and you have really great business acumen, which means that you can effectively support in strategy. You can also support. Now, this you can also answer this question if based on your background, right? If it's a hard environment, you can also leverage. So this question is going to be based on which environment is interviewing you. If it's in a banking environment and you have some banking skills, you can always leverage. But I'll advise you to keep your response within a scope of leadership. Okay, what advice you have for new Scrum Master transitioning from a healthcare background into getting higher? Fortunately, we have a lot of head companies they're hiring Scrum Master now, and they're looking for those who have healthcare background. Right now, we do understand that a Scrum Master is a leadership position. So the first thing you want to do is to build on your leadership experience. When I say build on your leadership experience, it goes beyond you understanding how to answer Scrum questions. Now, the reason why sometimes you might feel like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing wrong and I'm not getting it to the next level is because you probably, the way you answer, it's not about answering the question right. The way you answer, the confidence in you, the way you talk, right, matters a lot. So, anyone, you want to make sure that you improve your leadership capability, the way you talk. And that is why, if you happen to be in a coaching community, one of the things I advise my students like always be on camera. It's a plus for you. Most people like, oh, I don't want people to see my face. And then the first time you get on camera is when you have your interview. And there's definitely no way you can say it through. A leader is someone that will dominate, right? So if you have a health background, that is not a limitation. I've mentioned three things you want to learn. You want to make sure you understand all the events to your fingertip, how and what's your role there. You want to make sure that you understand your case study. You want to make sure that you understand how to facilitate using one of the tools. If you can do that, it doesn't matter your background, you are good to go. All right. So how do you effectively track dependency in a safe environment? If you work in a safe environment, definitely if you work with Jira, you have a tool called Jira Align. Jira Align help to track dependency and facilitate the transparency across that. If you work in a Jira environment and you don't have Jira Align, uh, what you might do, or if you depending on what tool you're using, if the tool doesn't have an aspect where you can track dependency, what you can also do to help your team is that you can use Miro. Miro is a whiteboard where all the teams can put in what they're working on, and then it can help coordinate dependency. But in a safe environment, the program board, which everyone within the Agile release train have access to it, also gives you an idea of what are the dependency. You as a Scrum Master, you just need to be effective in taking down notes and in understanding what is the lead time between your team and the team that will be you're going to be collaborating with them in terms of dependency and making sure you track that. So those are, it's just more or less in your partner scrum master, assuming that they already these tools in place in your organization that you can record dependency. The way to track that is for you to be able to effectively understand the lead time. When I talk about the lead time, let's say you're working on the story A and it's dependent on team B, which is working on story D, right? You need to understand when team D will be finished with their work and when you can take up from your work. That is what helps you to effectively track that when you understand the time each team you are dependent on is using to complete your work. What is the best response for this interview question? As a Scrum Master, how do you deal with difficult stakeholders? All right, my response for this question would be a stakeholder is only difficult if they don't understand the value of what you're bringing to them, you're presenting to them. And most often we tend to kind of want to convince stakeholder by saying, oh, Agile is good, it's the best way to deliver good, Agile is good, Agile is good. Now, if we change the way we collaborate with stakeholder, the first thing you understand is that someone is only difficult based on their perspective, right? If we have two different perspectives and we're having a conversation, you would tell me that, oh, you're too difficult to understand. I don't understand you, right? That's what makes you feel I'm difficult. Now, what about you say, okay, look, what makes you think this way? And based on that, you understand my perspective. If I give you my perspective and why I think daily stand up or daily scrum are not important, why I think it's not important for us to do retrospective or review, then I should be able to build my case as an agile coach based on your thinking and show you how what we are doing is going to contribute to the business value. So stakeholder will be difficult if we're exchanging idea. But if we are all looking at how can we effectively deliver this business value, you're going to realize that you will not have things as difficult stakeholders. So difficult is relative. So the way I'm going to answer that question is like, okay, people are only difficult if we have different perspective. What I try to do as an agile coach is that I don't look at different perspective. I look at why are we looking at it from different angle, and how can we both collaborate to get to a bigger point. Our point is not to argue. Our point is to get to a common business value. And if we look at that as we're all driving towards a common business value, we'll always find a meeting point somewhere in the middle, right? So what are the reasons why the team spill over? You first need to identify the root cause before you can help the team improve. That's right. You need to identify the root cause. Why are they spilling over? Is it because they're overestimating? Is it because the acceptance criteria weren't clear enough? Is it because they don't understand what estimation is all about? Is it because we're having a lot of work in the middle of the sprint? You need to understand all of these aspects before you can help them become more effective. Explain Scrum in 30 seconds to someone who doesn't know what Scrum is. This was a question I was asked in a recent interview. Could you please do that? Okay, that's a challenging question. Yeah, it's a very important question for you to explain Scrum in less than 30 minutes. So, if I want to explain Scrum in less than 30 minutes, Scrum is a way of thinking based on the agile mindset. Agile is about flexibility and customer centric and how we can deliver value incrementally. And Scrum is one of the strategy that help us to focus on our customer and to incrementally deliver value to them while making them the center of our focus in the whole process. So that's the way I'm going to answer that question in less than 30 seconds. I hope I met that time. All right, what are some of the most important things to highlight for someone who is changing the fee? Very important. I started writing a book, which this morning I was just thinking like, okay, I probably will go back and complete that book, right? And the reason I started writing that book is because a lot of people get into the journey of becoming Scrum Master without even understanding what it takes. Now, Scrum is not about you getting the certification, preparing your resume and start taking interview. No, it's far beyond that. The reason we have people getting in and losing that position is because they're not doing what it takes. Now, the first thing is for you to understand what is your reason. What is your reason? Why do you want to change fee? Is it just because oh Scrum is paying very well? You need to have that passion. If you don't have it, you need to develop it. Right. Now, that's the first aspect. You need to develop, understand the reason why. Do your research. Talk to people who are in the field. Many people don't even do that just because, oh, someone told me that, oh, I'm a scrum master, I'm making this amount of money. Oh, also want to be a scrum master. Scrum is not for everybody. Scrum is for people who love to lead, who love to learn, who love to be in the space where they are being challenged, right? So evaluate the reason why you want to become a Scrum Master, and then take out the time to study. Take out the time to study the Scrum guide. Take out the time to study if you're doing safe. Take out the time to go through all the material. When you take out the time to go through all the material, take out the time to understand it in practice before you even kind of. So if you're thinking about switching career, it's time for you to start doing your research. It's time for you to start attending lunch and learn like this. It helps you to effectively learn what it is, and it gives you an idea if you can get there. And most importantly, join a community. This is what a lot of people don't take into consideration. And okay, I know a lot of people feel like joining a community is expensive and I can do it on my own. Now, you want to be able to evaluate and kind of put the value that is needed. A scrum master make almost the same, I think, if some situation more than someone that is a pharmacist. How many years of studies the people that do pharmacy spend in their process? Now, the reason they pay Scrum Master good is because of the value they expect you to deliver. Scrum Master is about a mental value, your leadership capability. And it's because it takes a lot of time to build that they are investing that much in you. So if you don't build yourself and impact yourself with a lot of knowledge, I still go to learning sessions like every day. Right. So if you're starting and it's like, oh, it's just about me getting some questions, and definitely that's going to be difficult for you. So fully evaluate yourself, uh, do some research, get into some communities, try to learn more before you go and say you want to be a Scrum Master. How have you successfully transitioned a team from waterfall to agile? All right. Now, team transformation from waterfall to agile, it's a bit. I cannot say I'm a bit skeptical to answer this question, right? The first thing is that for an organization to be agile, it's not the role of a scrum master to help that organization to become agile. Now, you can help a team become more performant. You can help your team transition from being a Kanban team to a Scrum team. But for you to help a team to from waterfall to agile, first you need to start by help them defining the product, or we call it the value stream canvas. Now, what is the value they want to deliver? Help them come out with a business proposition. What is the business proposition? Who is supposed to be part of that process? So it starts from the leadership level, it doesn't start from the team level. So if you're transitioning a team from waterfall to agile, you definitely are going to fail because you're not building from the root cause. For a team to effectively deliver as an agile team, it must start with leadership. It must start from the point where we are negotiating the business. If it's a waterfall project and you completely just switch it to a scrum project, what is happening is that the leaders still have the waterfall mindset, and they're still going to interrupt and bring up work in the middle of the sprint all the time. And you get frustrated that it's not working. So it's definitely not the job of a scrum master to transition a team to waterfall, but to from waterfall to agile. But in case you are asked this question in an interview, what you want to say is that you have been effectively help a team that doesn't understand agile to become more agile by leveraging the values or the different step in team performance, where you help them to be able to understand that we need to keep aside our differences and pull together. We need to keep us separate people from idea and pull together our differences to focus on the business value. And this is done by us fostering trust, commitment, open conversation within a team. If we can effectively do this, this team started, we start understanding why we need to communicate regularly, why we need to come to daily stand up, why we need to respect each other. And that is how a team become agile. Now, agile is not just the fact that we facilitate events. Agile is the way we think in the process. If it was just about facilitating event, then we're not going to have limitation, right? All the teams are going to deliver effectively. But the reason why we still have Scrum teams and they are failing is because they're not thinking about the mentality part of it. They're looking more on the processes and the event. Oh, it's good we do a review. Oh, it's good we do a retrospective. But they're not helping their team to change the mind. So it's about the way we think and how we can help our team become more flexible in their thinking, become more collaborative, become more open, see each other as humans. This by far is one of the biggest challenge we having in the progress of Agile, where someone feel like, oh, because you cannot be as fast as I am, you don't have any value. Because you cannot be as good as this in what I do, I would not really kind of consider you as this. We're not respectful in our communication. And a lot of people working in a Scrum environment or other environment can testify that. Yeah, that's why you as a Scrum Master, you need to really understand what you can do so that you don't sell yourself below your value, so that you can be confident enough to be able to have that courage to have open conversation. It doesn't matter if it's with leadership or with other members of the team. You can only do that if you understand what is your specific role. You don't understand that in the job, you understand that before the job. Right. Now, one of the things we do in our community is that you need to go through several processes and several practical environment for us to even validate that you're capable to go take interviews and get into a job. Because we don't want you getting in there and you're unable to deliver. It's better you take time, learn the process, and get much better than rush through, get in there, get kickback. So very important. Um, in 2 minutes, tell us about the Scrum framework. So the Scrum framework definitely will be just about the different events and how they have deliver value, right? So um, if I have time, I'm going to come that. It's just the Scrum framework is just talking about uh, sprint planning, daily stand up, backlog refinement, review, and retrospective, and how we use it to help deliver value to our customer incrementally. So, in the midst of that, you might give a bit of highlight on each of those events and why it's important as part of the Scrum framework. How do you get calls from recruiters? You get calls from recruiters by applying, right? By the most tools that I'm going to recommend for you is LinkedIn and Dice. If you put all your effort in here, you're going to get a result, right? So if you use LinkedIn and that, you'll get a call from recruiter. What's next question? How do you facilitate refinement with a Kanban team? The same as you will facilitate refinement with a Scrum team. With a Kanban team, the difference is just the fact that they don't build in iteration, but it's the same work. With refinement simply means that we are prioritizing the work in the order which we want to put them. Kanban team is a pull-based team, right? They pull from their backlog or to-do list and they continue building. So the way you facilitate a Scrum refinement by helping your team understand that, okay, do we all understand all of these requirements? What is our priority in terms of the work to pull up? Who is working on what? And understanding all of those differences. That's backlog refinement. So refinement is one of the constant aspects you always need to focus on in Kanban team because they're pull based. They want to move as fast as possible without being pulled back by retrospective and review frequently, like what we're gonna have in the Scrum framework. All right. So yeah, applying directly to the company website. I think LinkedIn will always suggest that as well. It's very important. One of the things you can also do is that you can go in your area and go, just go on Google, type top 100 companies in my areas accepting Scrum Master application. Go through that, go on their website, on their career page, you can apply. You need to be putting in at least 20 applications a day. If you do that and you're not getting a result, there's something wrong somewhere. You need to talk to a coach or to a specialist to help you figure out what's going on. As Scrum Master, what continuous education would you like to pursue? What improvement can you help the team with or help the team work on? What improvement can you help the program with or can the program work on? All right, this a question on how you help your team or how you help the program. It's not a direct answer. You definitely gonna assess to see what the team need, right? But then on your part, your continuous education, if I want to advise any practicing Scrum Master now to take on a continuous education, I'm going to push you to take the Agile Product Management certification, where you're able to understand fully not just how to facilitate, but what happened when a decision is made on we need to deliver this product. What are the different pages? What are the different engineering processes? Really understanding the in depth of what happened within the Scrum framework and all the engineering processes. This is it. Now, for you to help your team, you want to help your team be very good in communication and collaboration. If this can happen, then you can do that. With your organization, if you want to help the program, you want to help them improve on processes. What are the gaps in delivery processes? What are the gaps in collaboration between team level and management level? You want to help them improve that. All right. So let's see what next we have. I think this is a technique. I've not come across this technique. What is Suari? It's a technique. I've read shallowly about it, but I've not used that. So I can give you a specific example on that. Scrum Master job are becoming saturated. What other course certification can you obtain to make yourself very stronger? Now, Scrum Master jobs are not becoming saturated, they're becoming competitive, which means that you need to know it, right? What you need to do is practice, practice, not only on Scrum, on your leadership, the way you talk is very important. Most often when you go on an interview, they're not only looking for your rightness in answering the question, they're looking for your leadership ability. What I kind of advise all my team members to do is that when you're going for an interview, go with a glass of water. All right, feel free, just relax. They want someone that can help them negotiate business. They don't want someone that would come and shy away from the team. So if you need to build more on your leadership capability, understand more deeply of the framework. If you want to go more deeply, is don't go take so many Scrum certification. I see a lot of people take PSM, CSM, and they take Safe Agilis, they take Leading Safe, they take Advanced Safe. That's not helping you. All of that are more like in line saying the same thing. Now, the one certification I would recommend, with all due respect, I would recommend the SAFE certification because it kind of covers even the CSM. Now you can, for someone that you really need basic understanding, you can start with the CSM. PSM is also very good because PSM is like I call PSM like the rush certification because PSM wanted to do speedily. They're giving you 80 questions to answer in 60 minutes, right? Um, they want you to be very uh I don't know the right word to use, and you don't need to go to any class to do that. But if you take CSM or PSM, which are you need to go through a certified instructor, they kind of help you understand practice, right? Scrum is a practical aspect. Scrum is not a theoretical concept you read like, oh, I have my certification, I can go take interviews. No, you don't want to get to that point. The next question, should I also refresh my resume with a company job? I would not advise this. This is the reason why. When you do this, you are trying to be what you're not. Let's say Bank of America put up a job description, and you go and you want to tailor your resume to fit that. And then another company put, you want to tailor your resume to put that. No, it doesn't work like that. Your strength is in showcasing what you know in your environment and how it can apply in their environment. Your resume is just a point of connection. If it was all about what you put in your resume, then there will be no need for you to get interview. Your main concern should be, am I able to pull through the recruiter call and get to an interview with this resume? If you can do that, the main stuff is for you to prove yourself. I've seen people who they went for an interview. It was a 3 round interview. Within the first round, they extend an offer, right? So it has little or nothing to do with, oh, I need to go add this, I need to go add this. Yeah, you need to do an assessment to see that you have all the required skills and you're competitive in terms of being an effective scrum master. When that is done, don't be careful to be adapting. I know most recruiters, when they call you, like, oh, can you add this? We're looking for this. Now you add that in your resume, which is not definitely part of you. When you get to the interview, you start panicking because you cannot defend that. So your strength is in what you know, is not what they're expecting from you. So very, very important. So don't try to be what you're not. Like, if you're adding something, make sure that you can effectively defend that. All right, thank you. As Scrum Master, you have to bring um, Benny to the team, and that's right. Thank you very much, Blasius, for expanding on that. All right, is it advisable to keep changing companies on your resume and LinkedIn? It's not advisable. Do that as need arise, but don't make it a habit of. That's just what I just explained now. What is the practical difference between CSM and PSM? There's no difference between CSM and PSM. The difference is that with CSM, you need a certified instructor. With PSM, you can take it online without a certified instructor, but it's the same concept. All of them teaches the Scrum framework. The difference is going to be with SAFe, because SAFe teaches you the Scrum framework and go ahead to teaches you how to facilitate in a scale environment or in an enterprise environment, how to collaborate at program level, and you're even part of, most often with the PI planning, you interact with even people from the portfolio level. So SAFe is more challenging and pushes you to go more further compared to PSM and CSM. So, oh, Iran, how are you doing? I see a comment on the bot. Send me a text and then we can take it away from there. Send me a text using the number on the screen. Send me a text. Please don't call. I would not guarantee that I will pick your call. But if you send a text, definitely there are 80% chances that I will respond to your text. Can you apply for both product management position and Scrum position also? Now, if you want to apply for product management position, go get the Agile product management certification, right? I think the cost of that, I'm not quite sure. It's close to about $2,000 for certification only, right? You can go get that certification. I'll look for more info on that, and that's also if you kind of master Scrum very well, because the product management position, you need to understand both the role of the product owner and the Scrum master, because you're supporting the entire team. It's a bit more challenging. Most senior Scrum Master have an idea on Kanban. Yes, have an idea on Kanban. Recommended. Kanban, Kanban is just a pool based system, right? The difference between Scrum and Kanban, uh, Kanban generally should be more or less. You have a list of work that you want to complete, and then you're helping your team prioritizing it, and then they're moving it across the board just to make sure transparency is across. But many companies do Scrum Ban, which means that they're not just interested in seeing the progress. What they're also doing is that they might even introduce daily stand up every day, introduce maybe review and retrospective time, but understand what is Kanban. Kanban is not a difficult concept. You can understand that in less than 15 minutes, less than 20 minutes of studies, right? What you want to do for everyone watching me, a lot of people don't want to learn. You just want direct answer. Make reading, not don't just watch YouTube videos alone or live videos alone. They're good, but I learn a lot from blogs because if someone want to write a blog, they try as much as possible to limit their word, the number of what they're putting in, and they're very concise. And you can even print it out and read it. And when you print out and read it, understanding those words, it stick more compared to you just listening. So it's very important. All right, we're going to be rounding up very soon. There's still quite a number of questions. Let me just see how I can go through some of the questions. What is the best response for this interview question? What's your experience with agile transformation? Okay, thank you. Now, with agile transformation, you want to say you have been, if you have been opportune to be in a company where they were at the early phase and the team do not really understand what agile is all about, and within the team level, you were able to help the team to understand how agile delivery work, how we estimate, the importance of collaboration, participating in events, the importance of estimating the right work, and the importance of estimating with collaborating with customers, and the importance of us making sure that we deliver the work we implemented. Now, the most important thing in agile transformation is not event, is the fact that we are able to have a product vision, we're able to have a product roadmap, we're able to have a release plan, and we're able to deliver incrementally based on our release plan and to learn from that cycle. So hopefully that answer your question, Sarah. So you know you're an effective Scrum Master if you can help your team deliver value at the end of every sprint, and you're able to help your team make sure they meet their target with their release planning, and your team can effectively collaborate and deliver that. Now, the common word here is you can help your team deliver increment at the end of every sprint. If you can do that, it means your team is communicating and collaborating. How can a Scrum Master be more visible once he or she join a new team? All right, very important. You don't need to seek to be visible. Sometimes when you're more visible, you create more trouble for yourself, right? The goal for you to be a Scrum Master is to be there for your team. Create one-on-one with your team, not just to ask them questions about the project, but also to understand them as human beings. Now, if you join a team, you want to be able to have that constant rapport with your product owner and the product management, jotting down your feedback, playing back to them to see if you really understand the project. Sometimes most often will take you about 90 days to fully get yourself embedded. But the first is learn, ask question, and then follow through. That's like your most value. All right. Thank you. Thank you. We'll see if we can have more questions. Sometimes it's just about finding a good fit, right? What does it take to be in your community of practice? Send me a text, and I will send you what it takes. Which depending on what level you are, I will tell you what it takes to be in there. Can you share some new retrospective technique apart from the one already being used? Okay, retrospective. Retrospective is about being creative, right? One of the stuff I love about my retrospective is that I want to come to every retrospective with a new technique. What some of the techniques that have worked for me, I have what I call the appreciative technique. When I get in, I say, okay, team, for this session, we just want to be appreciative for all the team members. So I start by giving gratitude to the PO, how they've been collaborative, to people that have been pushful to the team. Then I give 10 to all my team members to kind of say the gratitude. What are you thankful for? That just help us know some of the effort people are putting behind the scene to help others rather than just looking at what went where, what did not go where. Right? You can also use game. There are a couple of games which one of the stuff with respect if you want to draw your team connect to you. It's something like We Connect. I use We Connect card. You can get this card on Amazon. I use that a lot, and you can play this with your team, get to know them more better. Before we get into a retrospective, let's see how we can um, get to know each other much better, and then we take it from there. So it's very important you just leverage all of this. Sometimes if you have a team that is not too much responsive, you can use Easy Retro. Now the way Easy Retro can help you easily interact with teams that are not so much responsive, you can share the link, let them see what they think about before they come to the retro. Then you use the points that they put there as key point of facilitation and talking point. Now you can also, I like the one word. Team, use the chat button, put the one word, especially for people that are non camera. With the one word, you can pull a very good conversation in the process. Okay, I think it's the same questions which we just answer right now. How can I join? Okay, perfect. Uh yeah, send me a text. You want to join, send me a text. I'll send you more detail on how to join my community. It is possible that a company deploy every 3 months in Scrum. If yes, what happened every 2 week sprint to the demo? Yes, it's possible. Now, the fact that we demo doesn't mean that we demo. There's what we call the stage environment, right? Developers, when they build in a stage environment. So they are building, it depends on when the customer wants the product or the agreement. But developer, when they build, when they say we deploy, now we can deploy to dev, right? We deploy to the developer environment. Now we can deploy to production, right? And then we can also deploy to the end user. So we can build a product and we don't deploy it till after 1 year. So it doesn't mean that when we finish at the end or when we build an increment, we now just add it to the dev environment, which is where the developers are building and staging the product, right? They do build stage in the product. They do testing to make sure that's working. Before it goes out to the client, we need to do user acceptance testing and make sure that's working in the developer environment so they can still keep it in the developer environment for a very long time before releasing it. What group company will I recommend you follow on LinkedIn, other social media? Um, do your research. Just go on LinkedIn. There's so many Scrum group on LinkedIn. But one of the aspect with groups is that sometimes it might not really be helpful. I'll recommend more or less an active community which they have at least one physical meeting a week where they can meet and talk, ask question and all of that. But there's so many groups which you can learn on LinkedIn. If you want, one of the best way to find a group to join on LinkedIn or on Facebook, look at how frequent they put on material and also kind of look at the value of the content they are putting in. So those are some of the stuff you want to take into consideration. Yeah, yeah, you can get a job with a PSM. Safe is not a requirement for you to get a job. It's a competitive advantage because many companies are implementing scale agile, so they will need someone with in-depth knowledge. But some will even accept to bring you in if you know exactly what the Scrum framework in, and then teach you safe. So I would say it's not a requirement. It's an advantage. It's an advantage for you. All right. Apart from Jira, what other tool should we learn? Very important. Um, the reason I focus while you are still pre-learning, the reason I focus on use 1, 2, you can learn rather, you can learn Azure DevOps. Those are like the three main popular in the market now. But the reason you should focus on one is because if you know how to use one effectively, the other is just going to be different in the interface, right? Your role is to understand how we can break a future into stories, into tags, and how we can facilitate and make sure that your team is taking the right amount of work, how you can estimate user stories. It doesn't matter if you're using Jira, Rally, Azure DevOps, it's going to be the same approach. The difference is just going to be the interface and maybe the way the reports are generated. All right, so I think our time is up. Any question that I did not answer, I'm going to make sure I do a follow up. I'll make sure I do a follow up. Think I have two more questions to go. What's your major challenge being a Scrum Master? The major challenge for every Scrum Master, most often based on your coping ability, will be the ability to integrate in any new environment. If you can easily integrate when you join a new team, then just click that communication, you won't have so much major challenges. So I would say, or the way I answer this question is that most often I don't look at challenges. I look at challenges as opportunity to learn and improve. I know joining a new team, you might want to build trust, which might take a bit of time. That's a challenge, but that's an opportunity for you to learn new environment, right? So very important. And lastly, I just got certified as Scrum Master. What advice would you give me? Go practice, Navi. Practice, practice, practice. Join a community, practice, collaborate with other people. Make sure that you don't go for your first interview without having a mock interview. If you're not in any community, you might have a friend. Call them, ask them to interview you. Look at how you respond to this question. Very important. All right, team. It's always great connecting. I'm going to try to see what day we might connect again effectively, but I'll try to do this again before the end of the week. Hopefully, I create some time to do that. But always super helpful connecting. And thank you very much for your question. Now, do you can follow me on YouTube. On YouTube, I'm putting up 3 videos in a week. There's a video that went out this Monday, a video on Wednesday, a video on Friday. All right. So make sure you're connecting with me on all of those platforms as well. So on Facebook, YouTube is gonna be Scrum Chat Room. You should be able to find me there. On Facebook, just my name. On LinkedIn, my name. So, but then on Instagram and on TikTok, I've just gone on TikTok not long ago. Kind of some fun there, right? You can also find me with my name, and let's connect. And I'm putting out those 1 minute videos almost daily on how you can answer some of those questions. You have a great Monday, a great rest of your week. I wish you all the best. Let's go get it as a team.